Theme music, please. Aloha, I'm Mick Kalber.
And I'm Bruce Omori. And you are
on Hawaiian Time. On Hawaiian Time is a podcast where Bruce and I talk story about life unfiltered here on the Big Island. Before we get going, we want to share a couple of ways you can help us keep this podcast going. Right now, this project is in beta mode. That means that we're kind of feeling things out to see if we can actually make it work over the long haul. And we're still learning along the way. So if you like what we're doing, please consider a donation, big or small.
You can also help by buying some of our merchandise or Bruce's Ono coffee. All of these helps to chip away at the costs, as we've invested a bit of money into this, including gear, hosting sites, and plenty of labor. Go to onhawaiiantimepodcast.com to find donation and merch links.
But by far the best thing you can do to help us is tell your friends and family about this podcast. If you spread the word about On Hawaiian Time Podcast, we can build our audience, and everything else kind of takes care of itself. And if you have ideas about how to make this podcast better, by all means, let us know. Aloha, and welcome to yet another episode of On Hawaiian Time. I'm joined here by my wife, Ann, in Leilani Estates.
Aloha.
And I'm in Kona with our producer, Tim.
Hey there.
So what in the world are you guys doing way over in Kona?
Well, we're here at the airport with our special guest, Cal Dorn, the owner and CEO of Paradise Helicopters. Thanks for having us here at Paradise, Cal.
Aloha, everyone, and thanks for coming over and joining me today over in beautiful sunny Kona.
How's it, Cal?
Good. How about you, Mick?
Good, bro.
It looks like it's sunny over there, maybe on the Hilo side.
It is stunning
gorgeous.
today over here.
Wow.
It's gorgeous.
Nice.
Really glad to have you with us, Cal.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you.
We really felt the heat stepping out of the car.
Yeah. You're like, oh, we're in Kona now.
Get the mold out of your bones.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Cal is the person that paired Mick and I up in the helicopter to document killer whales activity.
2014?
Was it 2014? Yeah. So, that was...
None of us can remember that far back.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. But it seemed to be the right thing to do to get two people that I knew that are easy to work with and get out and document the volcano. So it was kind of a natural thing. Oh, hey, Mick, you mind going with this guy Bruce I worked with for a couple days on a shoot? And then we flew and it was great. So.
Yeah.
You know, Cal, I was trying to remember back when you and I first met, and I know we've talked about this before, but I still don't exactly remember. I think Bruce and I met out on the flow. I actually shot him for an NBC special before we started flying together. I should say before Bruce and I started flying together. But do you remember where we met, Cal?
You know, Mick, I don't really remember. I kept thinking it was all the way back to like 1993, 92, 93 when I was over.
That was a long time ago anyway.
Yeah.
At our age, we're forgiven for not remembering that far back. I call it the 1900s. It kind of puts it into perspective, you know. So, you know, we know that you guys do tours and photo charters, obviously, because we do them with you. But what else does Paradise do?
Well, we've done training. We do a lot of utility work. So, I've pulled a little bit of electrical line. I've put live people down places to open up LZs and did law enforcement stuff before that. And I've torn down a green harvest. Yeah, it was green harvest. Not so much anymore. Pour cement, do a little bit of ag work, fertilizing. We do lifts downtown Honolulu. There's one going on. I think it should be done now. Hopefully that all went well. I'm sure it did because I would have heard otherwise already. But air tanks to the top of a building in Waikiki, and then next week we have a couple more. So
you're airlifting tanks.
Yeah, water tanks
Oh.
to the top of marina surf tanks. Not, yeah.
What's going on over in Honolulu?
We need a really big helicopter. That's not going to work.
So you've got your hands in a lot of pies there, Cal.
We do, but with the COVID virus thing, the only thing we got going is a little bit of conservation support work and the ag work and the lift jobs. So
Yeah.
we're pretty much dead in the water. We got 6, 7, 8 aircraft holding out down the blacktop out here in Kona.
Oh, man.
I call them the tarmac anchors.
Yeah, exactly. I know that you've been so good, Cal, with the community when things like missing hikers or the rescues done with animals. I really appreciate that you've always been there and willing to jump in and support the community and the needs that people had. Even I know that you've, sent in or taken in personal items to those people that were, landlocked with the lava. So, I really appreciate all that you've done, pro bono for our community.
And a lot of that, Cal, is unheralded. A lot of people don't even know the things that you guys do.
Yeah, and I kind of like it that way. We're in business we have to make money so we can pay for helicopters, pay for fuel, and while we're making the money, then we can put things towards the community, and that was easy. Now, not so easy. I mean, we had the lost diver up north, and they called. They said, well, I'm actually coming back from the north, so I'm gonna squeeze in 10, 15 minutes, a little quick search, but we can't afford the fuel now, so we can't be. Unfortunately, it's painful to admit that we can't do anything anymore without getting money for the flight time. Helicopters are stinking expensive little machines.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And I know one of your pilots, Ryan, actually spotted those fishermen that got swept away, right?
Right,
That was
right.
last year, I believe.
A couple years ago
Couple
now.
years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he spotted them, and they were way offshore, had floated down to Waimanu Valley from the Kukui'ala Lighthouse, and they were floating back towards Waipio. He said they were a half mile to a mile offshore.
Crazy.
He was actually with me when we flew back from Kohala and looked for that guy. I'm thinking, okay, well, I got somebody that can spot things here. And my eyes are getting a little older, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That's great work that you do. And I know I also participated with you on a search in Waipio Valley recently for that missing hiker. That was
That's right.
never found,
yeah.
unfortunately. And also on Oahu, there was a missing hiker, and I did a couple flights with Josh up there.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time. And that same group just did the search for that older gentleman on North Shore Oahu. And Josh over in Oahu we spent quite a few days, hours flying on that. They were able to fund it through GoFundMe, I believe it was, for that same guy. He sets up a good search group and good procedures and everything else. Really, really good to see, because that really augments what the public sector can put out.
Yeah, that's good work that you guys do.
Thank you.
You were talking about the animal rescue during the 2018 eruption.
That was something else.
I mean, Bruce, you were obviously there, and Mick and I were there, and that was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Can you, Cal, talk a little bit about the challenges and what went into that?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I definitely had a lot of fun doing that and meeting Jacob Muse that had come up with the cattle net, so you could drop this thing over live animals that would run into the side of the net. And then you release the net and then pull it up, so it kind of just folds into the side of the net. And but it's about a 15-foot circle. You're flying around in the air trying to catch a cow. And once they started getting the idea that this thing was coming after them, I couldn't fly that thing fast enough.
You nailed one the first time, the very first time.
Yeah.
I was impressed, very
That
impressed.
was amazing.
If they just hold still, we could have gotten them all a lot easier.
Yeah, they're not willing subjects, that's for sure.
Yeah, the very first day when we got that the cow and her calf, that one, of course, the next time we went out, it was all burnt over. I think it was the very next day we went out to AT&T Tower. It was all burnt over, so that we saved their life. And she was not happy at all about leaving her calf out there. Then we went back out and got her calf. So.
Yeah, Yeah, that entire area got burned
Is that
up.
the one that showed up with a big burn in her side? There was one of them had a big burn hole in the side in their hide.
I don't think it was the one with that shrapnel injury.
Huh.
That was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I didn't even know one had that. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't see that from the from my side of the helicopter.
Yeah, and for those that haven't watched the video, I mean, it's quite amazing to be in the helicopter when Cal is doing this this rescue mission with the large animals, dropping that net over them because he's flying, avoiding power lines, trees, fences, and trying to drop this ring over a cow that's not wanting to be caught. So essentially, like free falling for a short distance in the helicopter to drop that net over the cow, and it's quite the fun experience.
That'd have been a little scary though too back there, right? Because I'm on the controls and I know what I'm doing or trying to avoid. You're probably thinking, God, did you see that tree? Did you see that rock?
I'm looking around and I see these coconut trees and I'm thinking, I hope Cal sees those. But I was having fun in the back shooting this whole operation. But I know Jake got sick because of all of the ups and downs and turns and everything. I mean, pretty amazing flying, man.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. I would be volunteering to go do it again. And as when you get done, you get, well, we actually saved those cows, so save the cows, save the sheep. This is really the first day just doing that was pretty incredible. And then the next couple times we filled even more out and went to the Pohiki side. Right?
Yeah.
I remember the weather that day was crazy. It was sunny like this one moment, and then the next moment it was driving rain and wind. And it was intense. And then being on the ground in the cinder pit, the wash from the helicopter was spitting cinders and rocks all over the place. I think Mick's camera broke, my camera broke.
Yeah.
We got drenched.
Yeah. Got drenched. Sun came back out. Then I think after being out there about 4 or 5 hours, I'm thinking, wow, I should have eaten more for breakfast.
It's a long day.
Yeah, but all's well that ends well because they say, how many animals did you save, Cal?
I don't know the number anymore. I mean, the first day was 8 or 9 or maybe even more. So I think we're 20-something animals.
Wow.
At least.
Amazing.
I think so.
And then, we were searching for cats and then we had going out for dogs and a couple other pilots went out and dropped in the Humane Society people and pulled stuff out.
They rescued a whole bunch of cats.
A whole bunch of cats. They'd catch them in cages and then we'd fly them all out.
Yeah.
So it's the only way to get out at that time.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, we started hauling fuel in so they could keep that AT&T site running, which was probably the main site for everybody in the area.
To keep the cell tower active.
Yeah. They were cut off. They're right down the ridge from Pohiki Geothermal. So they didn't have power anymore because Pohiki Geothermal was offline. And there was a generator that ran that thing 24 hours a day for, I don't know, maybe a year, was it?
Wow.
We just quit taking fuel out about 6 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Every 2 weeks.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit here, Cal. Can you give us an idea of how you started this company?
How I started the company? Well, I guess that comes back to coming to Hawaii and working for somebody for a few years. And then I had a good friend that came out, was looking for a job. And we looked at a company, thought, I think we can do this ourselves and not have to worry about bosses that, the way they operate. And that was, we purchased Paradise Helicopters. It was called K&S Helicopters, and it's still the corporate name. 1999, January 1st, 1999, we started our own operations, just myself and my partner as pilots originally. And then we expanded to 2 aircraft by September, got a Hughes 500 online. And that Jet Ranger we ran for a number of years. And then, from there, every opportunity that came up, we seemed to be able to purchase another helicopter. And along the way, the partner needed to move to the mainland, and partnerships always end up not so good initially, but then hard feelings out at this point. it's a long road to try to keep everything moving.
Wow.
Where were you before 99? What were you doing and where were you?
We moved the whole family in 1990 to Kauai. So in 1990, we moved to Kauai. My oldest daughter turned 1 on Kauai, and then my older son was born on Kauai, and we were there about a year and a half and moved to the Big Island, right here in Kona, and everything fell into place. I ran an operation for another outfit and bought the house we still have. It all happened pretty quickly, and it was meant to be, I guess, at some point. And
Nice.
then changed companies in 1995, and in 1999 changed companies to our own. So, and that was the start of Paradise.
So you've got a background in the military, right?
Yes, I got a Bachelor of Science in Forest Management from Humboldt State University, and always thought I'd work in the woods for the rest of my life, but ended up in the Marine Corps flying helicopters. And, I worked for a defense industry down in Southern California for a contractor, and that was kind of coming to an end. That was a Star Wars research stuff, and so the end of the Cold War was kind of winding that whole thing down, and ended up coming to Hawaii. So best move we made.
Nice.
Do you guys end up hiring a lot of ex-military guys in terms of pilots, or?
We do, and it ended up being mostly prior Marines because once you start getting one, then they know somebody else is looking for a job, and I had tried to hire people that were in my peer group. Most of them, if they didn't have a job, they still weren't sure what they wanted to do. So that dried up pretty quick, but. We got the younger generation that was just kind of freshly out of the military, realizing now that this corporate world sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go fly helicopters in Hawaii, and we still have those people. And then slowly transitioning to the local people is, if I can hire local pilots, because their whole support structure is here. They're not having to move back to the mainland for family. They're here. They support the land. They really want to be here. So that's kind of always been my push, but first off, you got to get pilots you trust. And I think we've done quite well for that. A lot of people have left, but we still have a pretty large contingent of prior Marines. We have an Army, one Air Force guy. I get lost. A couple of Army guys, actually. So a couple of Army Reserve guys.
Nice.
Tell us where you grew up.
Where I grew up. I originally was in Southern California, Riverside area, then moved to Ventura, California, and finished my senior year of high school there after a 1-year stint in Japan. I almost forgot about that one, but I did exchange student in Japan for a year. A fantastic experience, really opens your eyes to other culture. To actually live there for a year and didn't even want to leave. My parents wanted me to leave and wanted me to come back. But I was like, I think I could have just stayed there and continued. But 1 year in Ventura in high school, and then went to college in Northern California, Humboldt State for the degree in forestry. Then working for the Forest Service at the time of my life, and I needed a winter job. And that's how I ended up in the military. So nice. Marine Corps is the furthest thing from my mind. But, hey, they suddenly had, I can learn how to fly a helicopter. I've been on a helicopter fighting fire with the Forest Service. So that sounds pretty fun. So that's how I got into it.
Before that happened, Cal, did you ever think about you'd like to fly a helicopter or own a helicopter company? Was that ever in your mind?
No, furthest thing from my mind. I think I always wanted to, saw myself living in the woods someplace and working for the Forest Service was actually, it was great fun. Yeah, I still look back to that.
I still think about that.
I'm curious about what unfolded as COVID came into Hawaii. How did that affect, or what was the process that happened at Paradise?
Yeah, that's a mystery. No, as COVID started appearing, nobody was... in my viewpoint, I remember the president saying you can't fly to China. Like, oh, great, we're going to lose all the tourists from China because they can't come in anymore. And then, everybody's up in arms about it. And then next thing I know, we're not getting anybody from anywhere, and everybody's canceling. I mean, there's 60, 70% cancellations. So March was a total bust. January, February, not good. So that just everybody was canceling. And then looking at it going, okay, well, a 15-day quarantine, then we'll be coming back to business won't happen right away, but now here we are months later. I still feel like kind of like you're in the ring with somebody that just hits you every time you begin to step out, and you got to change your mode again. So, and here we are still, we're looking at August for maybe some tourism in Hawaii, and it's all understandable. Nobody wants to get sick, but it's difficult for a tourism-based company. So thank goodness for government bailouts, because now I've taken money from the government, and that's the only way we can keep the doors open and keep paying for the tarmac anchors out there, the couple of them that we owe money on.
Tough business environment right now.
Yeah.
So if you weren't flying helicopters, what would you be doing?
Well, recently, 2 years ago, ended up with a little bit of an avocado farm split with a family. So, I'd be up replanting trees and everything, which I just do all weekend long, Saturday, Sundays. Pretty much hard at it, trying to trim things back. And it was just a jungle when we took over. We didn't even know we had so many avocado trees because they're covered over by vines and bushes, and you couldn't even get underneath them. But 170 some odd avocado trees spread across the property, and now they're all open and mowed underneath, and we actually know what they are and where they're and how they're doing.
Well, Cal, how'd you get into that? I mean, helicopters, avocados,
They go hand in hand.
Yeah. Well, I think it stems back to my forestry degree and living in a subdivision. As if we were living in a subdivision, I sometimes thought I was existing in a subdivision, because forestry and growing up camping and being, out in the woods, that's kind of where I wanted to be. So my dream was always, I'm going to get a 10-acre square of land. I'm going to put my house smack dab in the middle. I got no neighbors. Well, we're going to settle for 5 and, some neighbors close by that are family, but they're still quite a ways away. So that's how that all came about for avocado. But, forestry degree, I like trees. So by default, I'm the avocado tree trimmer. So, I got to get out there and trim avocado trees.
Nice. And Kona has the perfect weather for avocados. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and those are Ono avocados. I have to say, thank you so much. You've shared some with us, and we've enjoyed some great meals.
So delicious. Yeah.
Yeah, and those are not the ones that we can export too. So the exportable ones are only the Charwell avocados, which they are really good. They're real buttery, real creamy. You gotta pick them just right. They can't have blemish. You get number 1s, number 2s, I think it is, and that's all they can export. So everything else is kind of culls, but we'll sell locally, or we still haven't developed all that. But it's quite an industry in Hawaii. It's a tough business. It certainly isn't. Growing up in Southern California and seeing the Haas market, take off, and we got far better avocados, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's labor intensive.
Yeah, the Haas are so small,
so
tiny.
Yeah. They do have bigger ones, but I'd say most of the time they're like little avocados.
Yeah.
So do you think the avocado industry or business in Hawaii is underserved? Could it actually be something?
The main problem is the fruit fly issue. So in order to become certified to have our avocados go to the distribution center, then we had to put out fly traps and trap flies for like 6 months prior, and then we could get certified to take our stuff to the wholesaler, who then would ship it to the Pacific Northwest. So avocados in Seattle got a lot of Hawaii avocados, and just that one variety. But we have all these other varieties. I think every bit as good. The ones we sent back to you guys, that's kind of like, well, kind of a trash avocado, but they're as good as anything else, right? They're good.
We'll take them. They're Ono.
Yeah.
So, Cal, what's harder, growing avocados or flying helicopters?
Well, the avocados take care of themselves, but the helicopter, let loose the controls. It's not. That's the end of your day. So, helicopter's a little bit tougher. Yeah.
So, did you see the joke about the avocado that's looking in the mirror, and it looks in the mirror and says, "Well, yeah, I'm fat, but I'm good fat."
No, I hadn't seen that. Well, it's supposed to be heart healthy, and it's supposed to be good for you. Yeah. I don't believe it or not, I don't eat enough avocado. I was thinking the other day, I haven't made guacamole in months. Spend all weekend like just doing things, but not eating
Macadamias
avocados.
are supposed to be good fat too.
Yeah, well, the pigs on our, we have macadamias too. So we have about an acre or two of macadamias and hoping to get a little adjoining parcel has another 3.5 acres of macadamia. But the pigs are fat. So the pigs are eating avocados and macadamias. They're good eating. So.
I guess they're good fat, but it kind of depends on how many you eat. There's a limit.
Yeah.
Get to a certain point, maybe not so good.
Yeah.
So let's take a quick break here, little pause in our story so we can let you guys know how you can help keep this podcast going.
Right now, you can buy some coffee on HawaiianTimePodcast.com.
Click on the merch and
You'll find my coffee there.
yes,
Along with some other good stuff.
what can we get there, Mick? What else can we find there?
Well, you can also get a mug or a T-shirt. There's all kinds of good stuff.
Yep. Awesome. Please support On Hawaiian Time Podcast. We're getting ready to wrap up season 1. We want to do a season 2. We need your help.
We do. So also give us a rating, a 5-star rating, please.
Oh, yeah. Subscribe to us, right? On Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. If there's a place there to rate and give us a review, please do. 5-star ratings are good. Reviews are
There
good.
you go. We also want to send a shout out to our contest winner, Lisa Grable from North Carolina. Hey,
Yay,
$100.
Lisa.
Mahalo, Lisa.
Oh, I bet she's going to spend it well.
Put it right back into the merch. Well, we got a great guest here. Cal Dorn's with us, so let's get back to the conversation.
Well, I have a question. Mick, you still got those coffee cups with the smiley face on them?
Well, we have a few of them that don't change colors, but we don't have any of the color changing ones. So we just have the ones that are just like our On Hawaiian Time coffee mugs. They just have the picture on them. But it's a smiley face. People like the smiley face.
Well, I like my smiley face one with the changing color, but I have no idea where that went. I don't have it anymore.
Magic.
I don't know.
They're kind of
Magic in a
expensive to
cup.
produce. It's not a real big moneymaker, so it's kind of a lot of work for no reward. But
Yeah.
We'll put that in the suggestion box.
yeah,
Okay.
That was a fun
That's
flight, right,
great.
Mick?
yeah, that was an amazing flight. The smiley face set off 61G into the ocean that day.
Yeah, that's right.
Like she was smiling because she made it or something. I don't know.
So obviously you guys, Paradise has many different pilots, Cal.
Yes.
And when Mick and Bruce fly and do photo flights, they may be with a different pilot, but you've flown with them a bunch, right? Are there any memorable flights that you have flying with Mick and Bruce?
Yeah, they were all a lot of fun. I think the very first flight, I was a little nervous getting Mick and Bruce together. Mick said, I've met Bruce before. Okay, I'm waiting for a little more out of that. But then, we get out there, start having fun, and the banter started going. And then I think the next couple of flights, it just got better and better. And, it was great fun. So I was getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, driving over to Hilo so I could go do those early morning flights. But that kind of wears on me after a while. So
Tell me
I
about
handed
it,
over.
bro. Tell me.
What was going on in 2014 to where you guys originally got together to start flying daily?
Yeah, an eruption. Well, the eruption from Pu'u'o, it started. It broke out on the northern flank of Pu'u'o and started heading toward Pahoa, and that was, I think, the first time it actually flowed on the inland side of the East Rift Zone in a long time.
Yeah, we didn't even know it could do that.
Yeah, that was crazy. I can remember that the first couple of days we were watching that big flow move down along, like parallel to the East Rift Zone, and then it entered this crack, and the crack kind of channeled the lava and just kind of shot it straight toward Pahoa. And how long was that crack?
It went about a mile, I think, in the crack, but it went really quickly down that distance. And the next thing you know, it was down by the pad where they were originally going to build the geothermal down there.
That's right.
And then flowed down toward Ka'ohe before it turned down to Pahoa. So it was pretty scary for a lot of people in Pahoa and the surrounding area. You know, people were worried not only about losing homes and businesses and all of Pahoa, but at crossing the highway and being cut off. You know, there was a big concern about how we're going to get out of here if the thing comes down. So it was nerve-wracking for a while.
Yeah, it was kind of an uncertain time.
Yes. Yeah. If all along, I used to point out that that crack that thing flowed in, because it's right next to the 77 flow, the old, and then there's some lava. There were lava trees out there. So I used to always try to point that out on tours. And then it's a huge crack. And somewhere back in the past, I had flown out there with one of the geologists from the Volcano Observatory, and we had hiked out to this little pu'u out there, and it was a little bit dicey going because there's all these cracks in the ground. You don't know that flying by, but down on the ground, there's crack after crack after crack as we're just making our way. We probably didn't go very far, probably less than a half a mile, hiking to this little pu'u that sat, a little cinder cone sat out there. And, you know, just to see that lava flow enter that big crack that I'd always watched, and then running all the way down there to the forest geothermal. Incredible.
Yeah, pretty mind-blowing activity there.
Cal, Bruce, and Mick always refer to themselves as lava junkies. Would you refer to yourself as a lava junkie?
I might be an avocado junkie. Yeah, I definitely, you know, if I lived on the Hilo side, I probably would have done all those flights because it's so much fun, you know, but having always been over here and now running a bigger company than I had intended, you know, I'm probably not as much of a lava junkie. You just got to do what I got to do to keep everything moving in one direction.
Yeah, I can understand.
But man, it's fun.
There's just something about it, you know, that's hypnotic. It draws you in, and you can't get enough of it. You know, it's just I want to watch it again and again and again. It was diminished just slightly when it was in my backyard, but other than that, you know, I love it. It's really fascinating. I mean, the color. There's no even describing that color, and it changes colors depending upon the light. You know, it can be white, it can be red, it can be orange, it can be black. It's just crazy. You know, the plethora of colors that it puts out.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's no reason for me to be out there at night, but I have hiked out there at night a bunch of times. Just I'm not taking pictures or anything. Just to hear and smell and see that stuff. It's pretty incredible. Yeah, I'm a bit of a lava junkie.
Yeah, being close is a different experience.
One of my favorite adventures we had with Cal was the 2011 fissure eruption. We heard about it at night and called Cal, and he came flying over in the morning with some family members, and we took off. And that was just incredible to see it from a distance, to come in, to get a view. And I always feel honored when I see a Paradise helicopter van with my picture on it. I captured one of the pictures of the helicopters, and that always really tickles me. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Marco
that was
flying
fun.
for his first day on the
That's
job.
Right.
He sees the fissure eruption that's 1.5 miles long. You know,
That's right.
The biggest fissure eruption we'd seen around here ever.
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah,
it was really beautiful.
And Marco first day, and that was a Kaika Marzo in there too, I believe.
Was it really? I didn't know that.
I think so, or at least his group.
No kidding.
Because he
God.
he kind of has that. He's in touch with the volcano somehow, and he called up and wanted to go. I'm like, all I got is this new guy. So Marco. Okay, Marco, you're up, man. Be safe.
Wow.
Yeah, he had no clue.
Yeah.
So he just thought that was like normal. This is every day in Hawaii.
Yeah, I think it was all downhill after that.
Yeah, you can't beat that. No, I
was...
remember he was just super excited, but it was like, this is my first day, and I looked at him. This is your first day. Wow.
And you were up front and taking pictures with your camera, and had Mick back there. And I remember I get the heat I caught from the USGS because we were flying down the rift zone, and then saw those two geologists, and I start turning away, and Mick's going, no, keep going straight. I can't. I got these guys. And then turns out they're even complaining even more. Like, well, okay,
oh
whatever.
My gosh, getting Cal in trouble again.
Yeah.
How much longer until the TFR went up, right?
Well, it was hours, right? So we were
Yeah,
out there, and then within
exactly.
hours they put up
Yeah.
the TFRs.
It
Like,
didn't last very long.
this is our volcano; it's not the public's volcano.
Temporary flight restrictions.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're so familiar
Oh, well.
with that.
I don't know if you all know, but by the way, I think the FAA finally caught on to all that TFR stuff, and I don't think we'll be seeing those again.
Oh, really?
Oh.
They got a little. They realized they were being a little bit overused. So
Cool.
that makes sense for some things, and I think TFR over Leilani Estates, that kind of thing, so that the National Guard can operate and everybody operates safely. That makes sense. The fact that they never let Mick and Bruce go out there with Paradise Helicopters inside the TFR is pretty baffling still when I look back. Like, what? It's media.
Yeah,
we
that
were
was
doing
really
media.
sad.
We were the eyes of the public on this volcano. It's a once in a lifetime thing for people all over the world. And Mick's videos and Bruce's pictures. I mean, we went worldwide with that stuff, but we still couldn't get the authorization to get below 3,000 feet. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
That just speaks to how good you guys are at what you do. That from 3,000 feet, we could get pictures and video.
We begged and pleaded and begged and pleaded, and they
Yeah.
would not
Got
relent.
rejected every single
They would
time.
not allow that.
And still to this day, we get people that stop us that say that Bruce and Mick's, footage and images made a difference in their life, knowing whether their house was there or not, what was going on. It just, it makes us realize that covering these major events are going to be done a lot differently. It's not all government covered. We've got to let the people step up and, everybody pitch in to get the view out. It's not just waiting to be hand-fed by the government
Well,
officials.
that whole event really showed how valuable social media is.
Exactly.
Social media stepped up to the plate there because nobody else was doing it. The USGS isn't going to tell them what's happening on a day-to-day, hour-by-hour basis. The police aren't going to do that. The civil defense isn't going to do that. Nobody was doing that.
Yeah,
And
they
even
were
when they did
controlling
do
the
it, even when
information.
civil defense did put out the information,
Yeah.
it was oftentimes way late and even wrong. So it was, it was
And whether
really
the government
crazy.
is tied by having their insurance and all their obligations, but people would say, we found out through you guys, and 2 weeks later, the county called to confirm our house was gone. It's like, that's old news,
Yeah.
Crazy times, man.
Yeah. We talked about 2014 Pahoa, 2018 Leilani Estates. What about Kalapana? Were you guys flying like in the 90s when Kalapana was
I was.
getting...
I was flying, but not on the Big Island. So in 90, I think I came over this island in 91 the first time, and there was flows from the Kupai Naha, but they weren't doing much. They were just kind of a hole in the ground with some lava. I thought, wow, where was I just 5 years earlier? I would have loved to have seen this.
Those flows continued, right, though, for some years and over 10 years or so?
I really appreciated the relationship that Cal had with Jack Thompson, Red Roof Inn. That was pretty amazing. He was an incredible guy, and you brought in supplies to him a lot of times. And I'd always remember we'd be heading out there, and you could see him run into his house, and he'd change his clothes. He had his official on-camera clothing that he'd come out with. And he was so glad to see you, and just the relationship with you. He was the last house out there. It was incredible.
I have a little story about that. The very first time I ever flew the high fountain eruptions, first time I ever flew the volcano at all, I flew the high fountain eruptions, and the eruption had made it actually over the Pali, which is a long way. That's about 4 miles. And so it made it over the Pali in one day, because when it high fountain, it only erupted for about anywhere from 12 to 30 hours or around there. So it made it over the Pali, and Jack's house was just over the Pali, which is the sea cliffs in Royal Gardens. And when I saw his house, the flow from that eruption was right next to his house. And I thought, well, that house is gone, and that flow stopped. And it was 30 feet high, an flow all the way around Jack's house, or all the way above Jack's house. So future flows after that didn't flow down over that. They went around it for years and years and years. And that's how he ended up being the last house out there. 35 years later, 30 plus years later, however many it was, his house is still there. I couldn't believe it, blew me away.
Yeah.
Actually, that's where we met Cal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was shooting for a production firm who was using Sony's
Newest
brand
camera,
new
right?
F65 or something at
Yeah.
the time. And they wanted to get a shot to go on a trade magazine. And they were competing with Will Smith. There were two of those cameras in existence. A production firm with Ruben Carrillo from Oahu.
Yeah.
They had one, and Will Smith had the other.
Will Smith. Wow.
So I was tasked with shooting shots of these guys using the camera. Of course, Will Smith won.
He
Won
won.
out.
Will Smith made the cover.
He made the cover. We didn't.
We had
but
some awesome. I mean, yeah, my best memory of the very last night at Jack's place was we were all there. The whole crew was out there, and everybody else was like tired, wanted to go to sleep, and I was like, I'm going out, and Bruce said, I'll go. So we really got to know each other, became friends that first night, just watching that lava, kind of realizing that I don't think Jack's got much time left here. And then it was the very next day at 4:00, I think he called, and we sent 2 helicopters out there to retrieve him. But a good friend over a lot of years, Jack, I still hear from him every once in a while. And, it's a sad time. I'd love to be able to go back out to Jack's house. So quiet, incredible view. A lot of nights. I didn't never spend enough time out there, but nights out there with some of my kids looking out over the lava going in the ocean. You could see the red embers floating around. If the cruise boat was coming by, it lit up with the flash bulbs. Everybody taking flash pictures of lava and water at night. I don't know how that works out, but it was like it was just exploding with the lights. And a beautiful place. And he always had guacamole. I don't know why I can't get guacamole, but Jack had planted about avocado trees all around his place, plus a couple of lime trees, and he had avocados year round.
So there's no way to get into Jack's house other than a helicopter?
No, well, Jack would walk out.
And he also had a motorcycle that he would ride across the lava, which was a little sketchy, but, you could do it. It was better than walking, I guess, if you were careful.
Yeah.
But, that the flows went on either side of his house for years.
Yeah.
His house was a perfect location for people to go out and party a little bit and hang out and see a flow. Within a half a mile or a mile of his house would be a flow. There was one huge flow in 2008 that Cal flew with us, and it had the flow had broken out near the vent with a dome, and there was a long 2-mile flow that went on for a few days, and then that stopped, and almost immediately after that, I think it was a week after that, it broke out right next to Royal Gardens, and this huge, we called it a flash flow because it happened so quickly and it was so big, and it was right next to Jack's. And that flowed down, dumped into a big crack. It was going into the ocean at that time. Literal explosions and everything were happening at the ocean. But that was really, really close to Jack's. That's when we kind of wondered, is Jack's going to get taken? But what a great flight that was, Cal. I love that.
Yeah, that was a memorable day, landing and dropping us off and almost saying, well, maybe we could stay overnight and just sit out. It was absolutely a gorgeous flow. One of my favorites.
Yeah.
And you took a picture of me standing by the flow, and I still use that on my LinkedIn. I don't update anything very often, but there's my LinkedIn pictures from that you took. So
I remember
that was great.
I remember that night that we spent at Jack's. He was giving me a tour of his house, and we were standing in his bedroom. He said that he was finishing up his home, pounding like trim on his windows or something, and it was early in the evening. It was dark already, and he said that as he was finishing pounding that nail in, he saw this glow out of the window and wondered what it was. Well, that was in January of 1983. Pu'o'o came to life. Crazy.
Yeah, just as he was finishing his house. I mean, it's pretty incredible. Yeah.
So he just lived out on the lava flow by himself for years and years, huh? Off the grid.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember when I went into Jack's house, Jack had a book on his coffee table. The book was Survival into the 21st Century. I always thought that was perfect.
Awesome.
What happened? His house eventually did get taken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That night that we spent at Jack's, that was the last night anybody stayed there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That flow that we saw that evening,
Yeah.
Yeah, came down the next day.
Because that had already piled up over, everything layer after layer after layer was
Exactly.
reaching that 30-foot height and just adding material until it spilled right into his little kipuka there, little hole in the lava.
That was a huge flow
Yeah.
that we saw.
Yeah.
We took that afternoon flight out and loaded Jack up and watched and documented. And I have to say, I cried when we took off, It had been there for so long, and I cried as we lift off, knowing that this is the last time for Jack.
Yeah, I even get teary-eyed, but I didn't go often enough. Maybe it was why I'm getting teary-eyed, but I think of Jack's place and what it was like, and it was a special place. That was pretty neat out there all by itself. And
Yep, the Red Roof Inn.
Yeah, Red Roof Inn. And Jack really, it was 2008 after the recession and everything was dead. I remember looking out at the my tarmac weights at that time and thinking, okay, well, this is it. If things don't pick up, we're done. I called up Jack and said, hey, Jack, how about we start coming out to your place a little more often? Would you mind that? And he said, no. So we worked out a deal and we started taking tourists out there. It wasn't within a month, we were out there like 3 times a day. So and it was what a great experience for people. I'm sure a lot of them remember.
Yeah, such a unique location.
Mick, didn't you do Anthony Bourdain out there? Did you film that one?
No.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Wow.
But on that show, he at the end, he says, and unfortunately, Jack Thompson's house was lost months later. But that wasn't true. Years later, it was true. So he predicted
Cal,
the future.
what does truth have to do with it? It's TV.
Yeah, it's TV.
So what, 2010 or so, he lost his house there?
It was maybe 2012 or something.
I don't remember what year it was.
Yeah, I want to say 2012 or something.
Something like that. But when Jack he lost his house up there, he ended up moving to Ainaloa. And he was actually threatened by the 2014 lava flow for a little while. We used to tease him that Pele was chasing him.
Yeah. I think his home got taken after the that 2011 breakout at Napao crater that you guys were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it was
Marco's
after
first
that.
day. Yeah, I think after that when the activity returned to
Could be.
Pu'u'o.
I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah, I think it was that flow.
We should remember that. I mean, it is kind of a timestamp. I remember the night. I remember the day.
Yeah, should be burned in our memories.
Yes,
right?
it should be.
No pun intended. Mick, you have that in one of your documentaries, that story of Jack's house?
Well, I started doing it in the documentary I'm doing now, but the 35-year retrospective. But I have so much stuff there that it's kind of hard to tell a long-winded story of Jack. But I don't know. Talking about it now, it's a pretty interesting story. I may revisit that one, but
We've got to get
I'm trying to do a short version now, which will probably end up being an hour and a half. So you can imagine what the long version looks like.
We've got to get some photos and footage of Jack's house to link to this podcast.
Oh
so
yeah,
people
I'm
can
sure
see.
we can do that.
Yeah.
And Cal,
Yeah, exactly. I know we do.
yeah, Cal, you guys continued to land at Jack's place once that flow cooled down. Yeah.
After his house, we did. We would take kind of charters out there and land at a spot until the lava came back in and made it kind of even more difficult to land there. It was a pretty interesting landing. You had a foot on either side of the skids, and if you didn't get it in the right spot, it'd be rocking back and forth. It was not comfortable. So we kind of. Yeah, once it changed again, we stopped doing that. But, there's a satellite dish. It was one of the few things that remained in the 2 water tanks.
Right.
You could make out where they were and everything else is gone. A little bit of roofing material, but most of that's all gone now. So it's really hard to find the spot
now. Yeah.
Yeah, just looking it up, the house was taken March 2nd, 2012.
2012.
There you have it.
3/2/2012. No. But maybe I can remember it now.
Maybe.
Probably not, but I have a better chance of remembering it now. I always wonder. 3/2/2012.
Kyle, you've got your son working with you now, right? Just recently?
Yes, I do, yeah. He always wanted to join the Marine Corps. I guess I told good stories when he was growing up or something other, but he joined the Marine Corps, did a couple deployments, and decided he really wanted to come back to Hawaii. And at the same time, we had somebody leave the charter department, so he jumped right in, and it's great being able to work with my son and just somebody that jumps in and and knows the whole picture. Because growing up and your dad's running a helicopter company, I don't think you can avoid kind of knowing what's going on at the company. So
cool.
Nice.
It's awesome.
So what's next for Paradise Helicopters?
Well, we hope that August, September will bring some tourists back to the islands. I mean, the whole state, it's a big chunk of the income for the state, tourism.
Sure is.
There's a lot of talk about, we don't want as many tourists. And yeah, I understand that. We all like it when the roads are open, but we have so much to share in Hawaii. And I think it's a healing place. People come here. We have some landings that are, I just love to get there again. You just went out with us, right? We went out,
last week.
We got a spot that you land on one side's the ocean, the other side's got a waterfall, and it's super quiet. And man, it's a healing place. And then we got into the valley, right? The cabin. And some pretty amazing places. So that's kind of what we're looking forward to is getting started back up, and then do some health and wellness kind of things for people. They can be a tour, they can be a charter, and I think it extends your life to get out and do that kind of thing. Get out of the helicopter, smell the dirt, hear the birds. It is incredible.
Yeah.
Of course, that's coming from forestry major too. Yeah, a little bit of that tree hugging mentality.
Yeah. Those landing areas that you guys have on the Hamakua coast and Kohala are truly amazing. Yeah. Every time I go out there, it's like I can't help but take more photos because it's just so beautiful.
Yeah, and all that came about supporting the Kohala ditch in reality, with supporting that company.
That's right.
Flying their people out and then sling loads out, and we've done a lot of work over the years. A lot of bags of cement and tools and iron and fuel for the tractor that's stuck in there, and all these different things. Have been a lot of fun. It's very, very good fun to actually get in a ditch and kind of monkey around in there too. But I'm the pilot. I always got to remember that. I'm the only one that's going to be able to fly everybody out. So I just have to stand back and watch the fun.
And those are all historical areas too. Just amazing. It's just so mind-blowing every time I go out there.
That whole ditch system, and you think that there's the Hamakua ditch I've worked on, and the Upper Waimea ditch I've worked on, and then the Kohala ditch. The only one I've not worked on is, I can't even think of the name now. It's the one up top. Do you remember that one?
No.
Mick?
Google.
Somebody help me. I had it on, I was thinking of the name, but there's another one up top.
Remarkable.
So, all these different water sources, pretty incredible.
Yeah.
You think that for the sugar industry, they pulled all this water out for Kohala. The upper one was the one, I can't think of the name, but right behind Kahua Ranch. It's up there in the wet area.
For the guys listening that don't know what the Kohala ditch is all about, in the late 1800s, or was it early 1900s?
Early 19s.
Yeah. The sugar industry needed irrigation water. So a group of tunnel diggers, ditch diggers from Japan were brought in by barge. And they dug tunnels through the Kohala Mountains from valley to valley and diverted water to get to the more arid areas of Kohala. And these tunnels are an amazing network of concrete-lined ditches that carry the fresh water from these valleys.
Is the flume up there have anything to do with that? The Kohala flume ride?
That's part of it.
Yeah, so you can ride through those on a flume.
Yeah, and that's an amazing tour. You float in a kayak and you go through these tunnels that were dug, and there's actually like Japanese characters engraved in the rock or the concrete.
Yeah. The rock work, a lot of the areas that they needed to do the rock work, they got cut rocks sitting in the side in these flumes.
Yeah.
And,
amazing.
After the earthquake, we replaced flume 1 with a pipe, which it used to be a open air wooden, a redwood originally, creosote soaked redwood, that flume. And turns out that that's actually a little more resilient than that metal flume. It's pretty much done for, that metal flume.
Oh, really?
It's another rock slide and it's leaking. So that wood will take a hit, and also you can repair it easier. So.
Interesting.
And still in use today.
Just a little note for our mainland and other place listeners. The Big Island of Hawaii is one of the most geographically diverse places on the planet. We have everything here from semi-arid desert to, we don't have polar ice cap, but we do get snow, and everything in between. There are places where we have rainforest right next to deserts. It's one of the most incredible places I've ever seen in my life. So when things open up again, come see us and fly with Cal and Paradise Helicopters.
Yes.
Shameless plugs. That's what we're all
That's
about
a
here.
little plug.
Well, you gotta flume the ditch.
Well, that'll about do it for this episode, guys. Mahalo, Cal.
Mahalo. Thank you for bringing me on. It was great fun.
Yeah,
Just sit
thanks,
and reminisce for a while. Thank you.
Mahalo. Yeah, don't forget, tell your friends about this podcast. We need your help to spread the word so we can keep doing this.
Click on the merch link and buy some stuff like my Kaumana coffee.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
T-shirts,
T-shirts.
coffee mugs.
And where do we find that, Bruce?
At our website on hawaiiantimepodcast.com.
Want to send a special thanks out to Joel Marcus, who designed our logo. Thanks, Joel.
Thank you, Joel.
Thanks, Joel.
And we'd like to send a thank you out to Jamie at Silverline Sound. He's helped us with our great audio. So
You're the
thank you.
man,
Mahalo.
Jamie.
Mahalo, Jamie.
And you know, if you guys haven't subscribed to our podcast yet, shame on you. Please do it right now on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever, wherever you get your podcasts. It helps us attract advertisers, and boy, do we need that to keep this podcast going.
And I want to let people know that they can actually talk to us. Please go to the website, and on the episode page on the right side is something called Talk Story with Us. You can send us a voice message. Tell us what you think of us. Send us a question. Maybe there's someone you'd like to have join us.
I don't know about tell them what you think of us there.
No,
Annie.
I want to hear. Or
That's
if any,
dangerous.
I want to hear. Anyway, it says talk story with us. Send a voice message. You just press start record, and we'll receive it.
Yeah, maybe we'll play your voice on the next podcast episode.
Maybe.
And then you can be on Hawaiian Time.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Mick Kalber.
I'm Bruce Omori.
I'm Cal Dorn. It's Kahena Ditch, for all you want to know. I remembered. It didn't take an hour.
He's floating down there.
Okay, let's try that again. I'm Mick Kalber.
I'm Bruce Omori.
I'm Cal Dorn.
I'm Ann Kalber.
I'm Tim Coakley.
And you've been on Hawaiian Time. All right, we'll see you guys later.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks, Cal.
Hey, good to see you, Ann.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Aloha, Cal.
Really appreciate it. You take care.